Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lullove, welcoming you back to another edition of the Pickleball Podiatrist this morning. So I wanted to kind of talk about USAPA's national decision to only allow vaccinated players to play at Indian Wells this year. So it's been a really hot button topic. I've led part of the discussion on the kitchen. Had some vitriolic conversations with some people, so I thought we'd kind of put this out here and kind of get it out in the open. So I just got to look at some of the new tallies. So the poll question for people was basically, what do you think the policy should be for COVID-19 at USAPA Nationals at Indian Wells if the venue operator agrees to allow 12 and under to play, and since they can't be vaccinated. So some of the poll answers, I listed 4 of them. One was, do not allow anyone non-vaccinated to play, to have a PCR negative test 72 hours before, but no daily testing during the tournament was your second choice. The third choice was a PCR negative test 48 hours before and then daily testing, and then a 72-hour PCR test and daily testing. So as of 10:20 a.m. Eastern time this morning, we had 163 people that voted, and 97 people voted to allow only vaccinated players to play. So over 50% of the respondents, closer to 60%, have said that they only want vaccinated players to play. So, and then 53 out of the 163 respondents said a 72-hour PCR test was appropriate with no daily testing. So if you kind of take those two together, you're looking at about 150 out of 163 people. So roughly over 90% prefer some sort of negative test or vaccination to allow you to play, which is fairly consistent. So, but more so than that, I didn't want to get into the policy conversation. But the issue here is that we have 12 and under junior pickleball players who have earned the right to go to nationals. And they've earned that golden ticket. And they have a right to play. The problem is the science hasn't caught up with the demographic age to allow them to be vaccinated. So I guess the question, the plea for Indian Wells is, if these junior pickleball players present a negative PCR test, say 72 or 48 hours before the tournament, knowing that the remainder of the tournament is going to be for vaccinated players only, what's the harm in allowing 12 and under to play? I think it's bad for the sport to prevent junior pickleball players from playing. I think if you're going to mandate a policy like this, it should have been done the entire year from USA Pickleball side. I think from a medical policy standpoint, it's late. You've allowed people to earn golden tickets with a policy that did not include anything COVID related before this. You have not had a really good PR campaign to explain why this policy was made, either from the Indian Wells side or from the USA Pickleball side. So I think in general, I think there needs to be a little bit more clarity regarding this policy change, and a little bit more clarity from Indian Wells if this was their decision versus USA Pickleball. On another note, one of the things that really kind of came out in the poll was the visceralness of how this topic is so polarizing, even in our small pickleball community, that the minute I put the poll question up, and it was more of a sociology experiment. It wasn't so much about the policy decision and to have a good conversation about what should be a proper policy from a healthcare policy standpoint, and or what a player health public policy standpoint should be regarding COVID, but it became very vitriolic about privacy issues, and you can't tell me what to do, and you can't tell me to be vaccinated. And while I respect everybody's decision and how they feel, the purpose of the poll question was twofold. It was to provide a sociology experiment to see if people could get past the vitriol on this and just get to the heart of what the question was about, and to find out what would be a proper policy for USA Pickleball to adapt and to adopt going forward. So I kind of got both questions answered. So with that said, it's still a decision that has been made, and it has to be a decision that we all have to follow if we're going to play. And these are decisions that we all have to make and choose. We're not forced to play in these tournaments. They're all elective, and every individual, parent, player has to make the decision if they want to play or not. So I don't think the conversation's over. I think it's just beginning, but I wanted to just take the time to shed a little bit of personal light on the subject, and still say I still support USA Pickleball. I'm still a member. I still think they can do some really good things with the right direction and a little bit more counseling and guidance. And I think Indian Wells as a private institution has the right to make their decisions. So with that said, thanks for tuning in on this little snippet, and we'll catch you guys soon on another edition of the Pickleball Podiatrist. Thank you.